Attitude Era mode is pretty cool. It's a history lesson for those that weren't around or weren't fans at the time, and it's a nostalgia session for those that were. This is my bread and butter. This is the WWE that I used to love. It's the WWE that I used to stay up late Monday nights, Sunday nights, and be fucked for school. I used to love watching wrestling back in the day, and I was always a WWE fanboy, not a WCW fanboy. I can't ever remember changing the channel to watch Nitro. I was always a Raw boy, and I always will be, and there's not really an alternative nowadays, which is a shame. In the Attitude Era mode, as you saw from the intro, you take on various different storylines, and it takes you through all the greatest moments of that era. And you start off by doing the rise of DX, and this is it. So we're taking on taking on the characters of Shawn Michaels and Triple H. We go through their journey about how DX was formed and how it went on to become an awesome stable, an awesome tag team. And we're starting off with Shawn Michaels versus one of the faces of Mick Foley, Mankind, which I think was probably his best character. His best promo work was from being Mankind. Things like where he would be just standing in the boiler room, just like rocking in his chair, talking in such a weird, eerie way. Mick Foley is still one of the greatest promo guys in the business, and he always was back then. The thing that I like about this game, you get various match objectives. Like, as you can see, it says hit Mankind with a chair and win by pinfall. Now, I admit I have played this before, but it's on my old PSN account, which is hopefully going to be sorted soon. So I have played this before, and you can't just hit Mankind with a chair and pin him. You have to wait for something to happen mid-match, then you hit him with the chair. I like the way it is really story-based, but it's up to you if you want to go for the optional goals. But if you do, and you achieve them, you unlock certain characters. Like by winning this match, we unlock Mankind as a playable character, which is a nice touch. Or you can do what I did and just buy what they call fan access, and you can just get all the unlockables straight away. On my other PSN account, which I'm, like I say, hoping to get back, I have already unlocked all of the unlockables. But yeah, it's quite fun to go through and try and unlock them using the Attitude Era mode. Now, I've had many different conversations with Mick, Tom, Jake, Alex about who my favourite superstar of all time is, and it always changes. Well, the top two do anyway. It's always either Undertaker or Shawn Michaels. That's my favourite superstar of all time. And this is basically why I used to love Shawn Michaels. Back in these days, he was just so... It was just so cool. He was the man you wanted to be because he was cocky, he was good looking, he could kick ass, he was funny, he was arrogant. He was always my favourite wrestler back then, but then again, so was The Undertaker because he was so dominant, so evil, so twisted. His entrance was pretty spooky. Bear in mind I was a kid when I used to watch this program. So these are the people that I grew up watching, idolising, wanting to be. You know, like I remember in school jumping off buildings, pretending to be a Hardy Boy, doing the Swanton bomb on either my rucksack or any volunteer I could find. Me and my best mate were the Hardy Boys. I was Jeff, he was Matt. So Hardy Boys I really liked. It's such a shame they're screw-ups nowadays, but I used to try and do super kicks on my friends on the playground. They do say don't try this at home, but who honestly listens to that? Backyard wrestling, that's where some of the greatest superstars of all time have actually come from. Mick Foley back in the day, jumping off his bloody roof on his building into a skip just to get a bit of recognition. That's the kind of stuff we used to do. We used to have like a little wrestling federation called TCW, Fanit Championship Wrestling. Fanit is the place where I'm from. So we would make WWE Championships, and when I started selling them in Argos, we actually bought the WWE one, but sort of customised it. Like we peeled off all the WWE stuff and we like just scribbled on it TCW, and I was the champion for ages, and like we'd just like all meet up and just watch wrestling and then go, oh, we could do something like that. Right, so how about in the next match you do a Swanton bomb and he does the Matt Hardy leg drop. You guys can be the Dudley Boys, you guys can be Edge and Christian, we'll do a TLC. So what we did is we actually got a stepladder. We hung the titles from a tree and just had a massive like 6-man tag in the middle of a park. I mean, we were 14, 15, 16, can't exactly remember how young we were, but those were good times, man. I loved my childhood, and it was all because of wrestling. I've never really grown out of it. Always loved watching it. It's just a shame nowadays it's not as good as it used to be. But then again, we can relive those moments by playing this game, and it's pretty sweet. I think the graphics look pretty cool, and like I say, I do like the way they have sort of paid homage to the Attitude Era. Is this where I go for a cheeky pin? Yeah. See, I'm not playing and recording this at the same time. I played this earlier and then doing the commentary after. So if I go onto a tangent and start rambling, I do apologise. It's really hard to try and commentate after you've recorded the game. Like with Football Manager, I just click record, talk, click and play. That's just so much easier. With this, it's a little bit awkward. And the reason for that is, with my PVR, it records the game audio, but it doesn't record any external input, so I can't plug a microphone in there and record at the same time. I have to render out the video. Well, I don't have to render the video. Here comes Triple H. So I sort of have to put the video into like a media player, watch the video, commentate, record it with Audacity, and overlap them. You know, the trick with that is getting the audio and the video in sync. So I probably won't be talking too much about what's on your screens because it'll be hard to link it up. There's good old JR. I hope I got the timing right with this, but there's good old JR with Jerry the King Lawler. JR back in the day was absolutely amazing. Some of the greatest moments in wrestling history have purely been his commentary. He can make a race between two snails sound exciting. You know what I mean? Just by the way, it's like, by God, he just broke him in half. You know, like the way he just talks is so passionate. You know, bless him, I love JR. And it's quite a shame to see him leaving the Raw announce booth, which is a bit of a pain in the arse. But back in these days, the Triple H we know today was non-existent. His name in the ring was Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He played like a snob, bit of a Damien Sandow character to be honest, quite similar, like really cocky, intellectual, thought he was better than everybody because he was smarter. That's what Triple H's character was back then. And obviously it did kind of develop and evolve into the Triple H we see today, but it did take quite a long time. And I remember at the time it being quite a funny experience. If I can get the audio synced up, I have no idea what the moonsault was through the table. What I was trying to do was do a springboard moonsault to Mankind, but for some reason I ended up flying through the table, and I'm useless with these things. That's why I get pinned quite a lot, because you have to hold the X button and then release it when it hits that red tab, and I'm not too good at doing that. I wasn't expecting to do it from there, which I guess is cool. You know, it would suck if this game was too easy. I don't know what game I'm playing this difficulty on. Sometimes I get into a real good flow and I could actually win the match in a matter of minutes, but the reversal thing, you know, they do reverse it an awful lot, and it does make the moves difficult. Yet again, another springboard dive that goes awry. I'm on the floor, Mankind's holding his ribs, he seems to be hurt. Now, one thing that I do find really cool about this game is the crowds. If you look into the crowd now, you can see DX t-shirts, you can see the old Stone Cold t-shirts, I can see an Undertaker t-shirt. So they've actually made different crowds for the Attitude Era mode and your standard mode, so you can update it. There's an NWO t-shirt in there as well, WCW t-shirt, the WWE Arena. That probably wasn't really well received back then. I mean, back then, the Monday Night Wars were huge. It was just so odd. You will never get that again. You know, TNA, fair play, they broadcast their live shows, or I don't even know if they're live anymore, but they broadcast their shows. But they're in nowhere. They're not in the league of WWE. They just cannot compete. But back in them days, you had WCW, who was poaching the major stars, like you saw in the intro to this. You know, and it made for really compelling TV. It becomes so competitive, and that's why we need competition for WWE, because it will force WWE to produce better content, which is what the Attitude Era was about. Now, I haven't got time to talk about it in this episode, I don't think, so I think we've only got about another minute left of this video, but later on I'll start talking about how Vince McMahon got the ideas to come up with the Attitude Era. It wasn't entirely his fault. They like to think it is, but it isn't. So there we go, there's the free count from the old moonsault off the top rope. We did unlock some historical points, and we'll see in a minute we do manage to unlock Mankind as a playable character. But that's episode 1 of this Attitude Era WWE 13 mode. Episode 2, you have to wait and see what match they're going to be doing for that. Give us a like if you enjoyed the video. Let us know what you think of the game if you've already played it. If you have already played it, there are people that haven't played it and don't know what happens, so try not to comment what's going to be coming up in future episodes, if you know what I mean. Try not to spoil it for people that haven't seen it. Like I say, give us a thumbs up, give us a comment. Thanks for your support. See you soon.